Painkiller Ghosts, Chapter 30, Hyposomniac Dreams, Part 1 of 2. This is the next morning, and this is how it is. Chastity woke up early, on the sofa, and had dreaming about her mother. She doesn't even know who her mother is, but she just had a dream, and in that dream, she knew her, she saw her, she smelled her. She feels bad. She wakes up and it's dark outside and she has a faint smell of perfume on her hands, but she doesn't have any perfume. She wakes up and she sees a car's red taillights down the street and she hears a dog in the distance barking, and the news is on, but it's all news about the European markets or the Tokyo markets because it's the East Coast and it's not even 6 in the morning and there's nothing going on here yet. The volume on the television is off. She turns it up and she grabs some socks from the floor and puts them on. She takes the blanket that was covering her during the night from the floor and she wraps it around her shoulders. She goes to the kitchen, her kitchen. She starts to make coffee. She sees a joint on the kitchen counter. She rolled 3 last night and smoked 1 and lost 1, and here's the 3rd one. She lights it up and she smokes it as the coffee maker starts that coughing sound, and then the pot smell and the coffee smell join together for a moment, and she feels she could spend the rest of her life here in this kitchen, her kitchen. Then she remembers her mother. A few deep hits of the joint, hold it in, and puff some more before she exhales. She forgets she's making coffee. That's just how the joint works. She thinks about the woman in her dream, no, the girl in her dream. She's really no more than a child, almost half the age that Chastity is now, maybe 16. She's got a boyfriend, older, maybe 18. Chastity dreamed about a fight, about the man, the boy really, the dreams about the woman, the girl really, swollen in the stomach, pregnant. She's 16 and pregnant, he's 18 and still a child. There's anger, there's denial, there's fear, there's little hope. She sees this girl, this young pregnant woman 3 decades ago, lost in tears, an embryo kicking in her stomach, pressing against her bladder, and it's her, it's Chastity. She smells the coffee and pulls on the joint again, and she goes back into the dream. She hears a shout. She feels a fight in her dream, an argument, confusion, a fight. She realizes that her mother never sees the man again, and that he never knows what she does. He never knew if she had the baby, maybe a miscarriage, maybe an abortion. Back out of the dream now, the coffee is done, the joint is almost done, and she smokes it until it is too small to smoke, and snuffs it out on the countertop, and then eats it. She walks over and opens the counter looking for a mug, then momentarily forgets what she's looking for. That's just how the joint works. Then she remembers, grabs a mug, pours her coffee into the mug and stares at it until it gets cold. She sticks the coffee in the microwave and presses 1 minute and 26 seconds and stares at the mug in the microwave on the carousel going round and round, and when she takes it out, it's hot, steam is rising, and she accidentally stumbles a little, shakes just a bit, and drops her coffee mug upside down over her feet. When the black liquid hits, it burns. It burns so much, and she falls on the kitchen floor and cries, not only because of the burns on her feet. This is a week later, 2 weeks even, now, and this is how it is. Time is contacted by his mother's estate attorney. He goes to see him, wearing the same shoes he's been wearing for more than 2 weeks. He can smell the shoes when he's on the sofa. He can smell the shoes outside. He hates going to the lawyer's office, but he realizes the lawyer may hate having him there just as much. Time's unshaven, unshowered, unattached, the stink show. He looks like an addict. And that's what he is. An addict who is no longer on drugs or on anything. It's been less than a month, but that's an eternity for him. No pot, no alcohol, no nothing, no painkillers at all. Just a beard, photography, unemployment, and being a bearded, skinny skeleton. The meeting with the lawyer is slow but fast. Time is now the owner of the house. Time has inherited, after the death taxes and the lawyer's fees, what amasses to Time as a small fortune. He won't have to find a job anytime soon. Not that he was planning to. Time walks home. He hasn't seen his mother driving a car or behind a news desk recently. He has heard those dog tags though, the ones he hears but never sees. He wonders why he sees his dead mama, but not the dog. He wonders why he sees her, mama, alive, with ghostly dogs he doesn't recognize, but he hears his dog, the one he and Maria loved so much. He can smell it even, but he can't see it. And he can't see her, Maria, although he's trying to remember what color eyes she had, or the dog too. What color eyes did the dog have? He gets home, looks in the mirror, and he sees his bearded face, and he thinks about Mama. Then he drops on the floor and cries for hours and hours. Now it's now, a little later, and this is how it is. Time, a bearded, skinny skeleton, is out of the bathroom and sitting on the sofa, happily unable to watch the news on the shattered television. Thinking about pills he no longer has, thinking about homegrown herb he no longer has, and he's sitting there thinking about Mama. Mama dying in her fast car, Mama dying fast in her car, Mama dying face first against the windshield. And he sits there thinking about Mama, who he no longer has, and does nothing but grow his beard and think about time, which is all he has. This is a little later that night now, and this is how it is. Chastity is asleep on the sofa of her house. She's dreaming that she's watching television, a cooking show with two women and a man with a studio audience. Chastity is not sure if it's a program or an infomercial. She's getting hungry. She can almost smell the food through the television screen. The woman on the television screen starts to speak with her. She says, "Chastity, honey, did you do it? Did you get it? Did you write that down? Do you need us to go over this again?" And the woman pauses, and the whole show appears to pause. And Chastity looks around the room, her empty living room, and the three hosts are staring back at the camera, waiting for Chastity to answer. And the crowd in the studio is quiet. The television screen flashes to an announcer with a large headset on. He's waiting for her, for Chastity, to say something. And she looks at the television and she whispers, "Oh no, I'm fine, please, go ahead." The two women and the man start cooking again. The audience is clapping again while the show's announcer waxes poetic about allspice. The man leaves the scene. There was some joke, but Chastity wasn't really paying attention anymore, and it's just the two women on the screen, and they keep on cooking. But the one who stopped the show for Chastity just a minute ago is addressing Chastity the whole time. She's mixing ingredients. She's saying, "Chastity, not too much salt, and you're going to love this one, Chastity. You'll eat it all day long." The woman suddenly stops talking and stops cooking and ignores the show, although it continues to go on around her. And suddenly she is Suzanne. Mama Exler is on the television show. Mama Exler is just looking through the television at Chastity, looking right into her eyes, but just for a moment. Just for a moment. Then she goes back to cooking, to mixing, to chopping, and she stops addressing Chastity, and then that dream dies and another begins. In the next dream, she was there in the cemetery, the one that is in all of her dreams. She's not a child in this dream, it's now. And she's in corduroy pants with 3 pennies in her pocket, and she's walking through the cemetery. She doesn't hear her foster father's voice, and she doesn't see Stan lurking behind a headstone, but she does see a stone that says Exler on it. She walks closer, and she sees there are now 2 headstones, one for Suzanne and one for Time, which has no date of death on it. Chastity reaches into her pocket, and she takes out one of the pennies, and she puts it atop of Suzanne's headstone. She's standing there in the cold wind, when all of a sudden she hears her foster father's voice calling her, and she becomes half her size again and 25 years younger, and she's holding a penny in each hand, her last 2, as she runs away from the Exler headstones with the penny on top. She runs as a child to her foster father, who's holding the drawing she made of them, and she's smiling and he's smiling, and she hugs him, and her dream goes hazy, and she just goes to sleep after that without any more dreams.